First at 6, authorities in Clark County have arrested the man they say tried to kidnap a teenager at gunpoint who was on her way to her bus stop. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Molko.
And I'm Christine Pitawanich. This is the moment that Clark County Sheriff's deputies took the man into custody. The arrest came just hours after the alleged attempted kidnapping in a Vancouver neighborhood. Our Celine Stevens is live outside the Clark County Courthouse after the suspect appeared in court this afternoon. Celine.
David, Christine, so that suspect, Cameron Parrish, now faces charges for kidnapping, assault, and having a concealed pistol without a license. Now, deputies say that he tried to force a 13-year-old girl at gunpoint into his car yesterday morning as she was just on her way to her school's bus stop.
That's the heartbreaking part, was when she took off running, she told me she was just waiting to hear a gunshot go off.
Devin Wilson is the father to the 13-year-old girl who escaped an attempted kidnapping early Tuesday morning.
Still, it doesn't even feel real.
But by Tuesday night, deputies arrested the suspect, 31-year-old Cameron Parrish from Vancouver. Body camera footage shows him surrender outside his home. Tuesday morning, Wilson says his daughter was walking to her bus stop on Northeast 149th Street near 5th Avenue in Vancouver when a man with a gun approached her, telling her to get in his car. Instead, she ran.
We've taught her so many times, like, if you get in that car, we're not going to see you again.
Her dad says she told him she ran into the road to get help, and eventually some drivers pulled over and called police. Within hours, Clark County Sheriff's Office says they were able to obtain surveillance video from a neighbor that helped them find Parrish.
An area resident approached them and said, hey, I may have something. So late last night around 9 o'clock, they were able to make an arrest of the suspect and serve a search warrant in relation to this to the arrest.
Authorities say they also recovered the gun Parrish used. During his first court appearance Wednesday, prosecutors say Parrish was suicidal and planned to sexually assault the girl.
At this time, they don't think there's any kind of indication that there was any kind of previous involvement.
Wilson says he isn't letting his daughter go to and from school alone anymore, and he reminds parents to have talks with their kids about what to do.
I know a lot of kids in this neighborhood walk to the bus stop, and I never even thought twice about it, and then this happens. Hopefully everyone sees this and considers having a safety plan.
Parrish's bail is currently set to $10 million, but even if he makes that, he's still going to be required to be fitted with a GPS device as well as other restrictions. It's also worth noting that Parrish had his firearm taken away back in 2022, and it was only just recently returned in February. He also has 2 young children himself. David, Christine.
Celine Stevens in Vancouver. Thank you, Celine. Since this story touched on the topic of suicide, a reminder, if you or someone you know is struggling, there is help available 24/7. Just call or text the number on your screen. It is 988 to connect with resources and counselors. Again, that number, 988.
Now to some breaking news on Savvi Island, where there is a big law enforcement presence for a possible home burglary with an armed person inside. This is on Northwest Savvi Island Road, a few miles from the Wapato Bridge.
And here's some video just into the KGW newsroom. Again, details fairly limited, though the Multnomah County Sheriff's Office indicates there is no threat to the public. You see quite a substantial presence and a drone in the air. Savvi Island Road closed in the area. We, of course, will update you if we learn more.
Now to another story we've been following. 10 more men have filed a lawsuit against the Oregon Youth Authority. They allege they were sexually abused when they were incarcerated as teens.
Well, you may remember that 10 other men filed a lawsuit in March. They also spent time as teenagers at the McLaren Youth Facility in Woodburn. The new lawsuit alleging Dr. Gary Edwards fondled and sexually abused them between 2001 and 2008. They claim Edwards often ordered them to undress and have their genitals examined for things that were unrelated. Edwards died in February after nearly 4 decades at McLaren. Plaintiffs say they reported his behavior to staff many, many times.
We have alleged and intend to prove that the response from those other OIA staffers was either to shrug it off or in some instances to laugh about the abuse that our clients were suffering.
The suit also alleges staff at other Oregon Youth Authority facilities in the Grand and the Dalles sexually abused teens in custody. The Oregon Youth Authority would not comment on the lawsuit, but said it's made some changes. A nurse will now be inside exam rooms with a doctor, and cameras are now outside the exam rooms to capture what happens in the hallway.
In your headlines, the Real ID deadline has come and gone after a nearly 20-year wait and multiple deadline delays. It means you'll need Real ID compliant identification or an alternative like a passport or global entry card in order to fly domestically. So far, things appear to be going smoothly at PDX and other airports in the Northwest, though right now only about 38% of Oregonians have an ID that is Real ID compliant here. If you still have questions about the Real ID, the Washington equivalent, by the way, is issued as an enhanced ID. Just text the words Real ID to 503-226-5088. We'll text you back a link with everything you need to know.
The Salem-Keizer School District has released its $1.1 billion budget for next year, and it does not include any new cuts. District leaders say more cuts are not necessary after slashing $70 million and around 400 jobs from its budget a year ago. Still, Superintendent Andrea Castañeda says the budget was made keeping in mind the funding uncertainty at the state and federal levels. Oregon lawmakers have not decided how much money schools will receive.
In Vancouver, firefighters were out responding to a call last night when an emergency came to them. Around 11:30, authorities say a pickup truck veered off northeast 112th Avenue and slammed into the side of Fire Station 6. To complicate things, the truck got tangled in a 7,000-volt electric fence. Firefighters communicated with the driver from a distance until they were sure the fence was de-energized. Both the driver and a dog inside the truck were not hurt in the crash.
And a plan to expand the North Park blocks in Northwest Portland's Pearl District is moving forward. The city has submitted plans to add 3 new blocks from Gleason up to Johnson. This is part of the Broadway Corridor redevelopment project on the site of the former post office. It'll happen in 2 phases. First, the parking lot between Gleason and Hoyt will be transformed into a tree-filled urban plaza with seating, art, and space for events. You can see the renovations there in that video. Construction on that first phase is expected to start late next year. Matt?
All right, Christine, thanks very much. We had some showers at the coast earlier in the day, but already the sun is returning. It's cool. It's only 50 degrees as the onshore flow has kicked on. And now we look over Portland. There's some showers up over Clark County right now, as a matter of fact. We're 66 degrees as we've cooled off substantially. You can see this line of showers across the Washington Cascades heading over and extending down into the eastern parts of Clark County. One of them is getting fairly strong right now, but this is all very fleeting and very scattered, and most of us won't see any rain at all. Just a few light scattered showers through the night tonight. Clear and warm again tomorrow and on Friday. That leads us to Mother's Day, which will be cool and it will be showery. So if you want to really take care of mom in the sunshine, you might want to do that on Saturday. High of only 64 on Sunday with showers, especially in the afternoon. We'll see how long that rainy, cool weather will last in a bit, guys. Back to you.
Okay, thank you so much, Matt. And we are now taking a live look at Vatican City. Dark right now because it's just past 3 or so in the morning there. Earlier today, the Sistine Chapel's doors closed as cardinals from around the world started the process of electing a new pope of the Catholic Church. Today, black smoke telling us there is no decision yet on who the next pope will be.
And as the world watches the roof of the Sistine Chapel, so do local Catholic students, many who have strong opinions about the next pontiff who will follow in Francis's footsteps. Libby Dowsett's live at St. Mary's Academy in downtown Portland. Libby, what are you hearing?
Well, students here are paying attention, close attention. They even have a poll going on who they think will be the next pope. Now, the group of students we talked today at the high school say they're looking for a pope who is open-minded and concerned about climate change and the environment. Still, one said she would like to see the new pope hold steady to many of the traditions of the church, but remain open to change. According to church leaders in Portland, fewer young people are attending church in the U.S., and they admit they do need to do a better job of reaching out to youth. Students say choosing a new pope has many of them excited about the church's future.
Whether the pope is conservative or liberal, personally, I believe that it's not going to be as huge of a thing as people say it is, like whether or not they're conservative. I think it's going to matter how much they let that define them.
I really appreciated how Francis was pretty progressive and had pretty liberal beliefs, so I hope that legacy is continued in some way.
As for the students' poll, school staff tell us Cardinal Tagle of the Philippines is pulling ahead. They also have a live feed from the Vatican going right there in the front room of the school, so students will have to come in tomorrow and keep an eye out for that white smoke. David and Christine.
It'll be interesting to see how accurate their guessing is. Thank you so much for your reporting, Libby. And join us for live overnight coverage from the Sistine Chapel starting at 11 p.m. on the free KGW Plus TV app. We'll have it every night until a new pope is chosen.
Developing this evening, Portland City Council is holding its first work session to address Mayor Keith Wilson's proposed budget. The mayor wants to raise fees for things like parking, rideshare, and golf. He's also proposing an 8% hike to water bills and a 5% increase to sewer and stormwater bills. But he also wants to send an additional $19 million toward public safety. That includes fire, police, and Portland street response. And he's proposing cuts to nearly 200 city positions.
Like many local governments in the region, the city of Portland will experience layoffs. We will inevitably lose highly experienced individuals who have given much. For those who will be impacted by these layoffs, please know that these decisions are the result of a fiscal situation beyond your control and not a reflection on your capability or contributions, for which we are grateful.
Today, several city councilors said they will try to amend the mayor's proposed budget to include, among other things, cutting staff for tree code enforcement and supporting the proposed James Beard Public Market in downtown. Over the next several weeks, councilors will draft those changes, and a vote on the final budget will be in June. On Tuesday, we shared a story of a group of inmates who helped save the life of a man who had a medical emergency on a trail. And today we are hearing from that hiker.
I mean, right place, right time, right? The crew was doing trail maintenance in Clatsop County in the Coast Range near Lost Lake and had just taken a break when someone alerted them 76-year-old Ken Nunez was in trouble. Turns out he was suffering a diabetic emergency. The crew quickly became his first responders.
Then all of a sudden, here come 5 angels down the trail and, and helping out and wanting to help out. They weren't being forced. And that is an answer to prayer in itself.
5 angels down the trail. I like how he put that. The inmates gave Nunez first aid, got a stretcher, and then got him out to the trailhead in an ambulance. Now, some say once they get out of prison, they're thinking about becoming first responders or at least working in the emergency field.